Hi, class. It's Dr. Bushman, and I wanted to provide a little bit more information in regard to your team charter, because the team portion of this course is incredibly important. I'm taking it that you've already watched the Team Dynamics, How to Build a Team Charter video that was provided for the class, and that you have reviewed the documents on how to build a team charter from the two different universities, as well as the sample charters that you were provided. One of those is a remote team charter sample, and it has the 4 team formation stages. And the other is the required elements part of team charter. And I'm going to share my screen in just a moment, and we're going to go through those to kind of give you some guidance on how to combine them, because that is part of the first team discussion, and the team assignment is how to integrate the required elements into the team charter, as well as create your team operations guidelines. So I'm going to go ahead and share out my screen right now. And the first thing we're going to do is share out the team charter. So you should be seeing the team charter at the moment, or the team charter sample. Notice that this directly correlates with the presentation that you were provided the video to watch. And so in your team formation stage, you're naming your team, you're providing the team vision and the purpose. What's your team motto? What are your objectives? I mean, not everyone is going to just simply agree that to get a good grade. Define those. The handouts that I provided from the two different universities will provide you questions for your team to answer on how to actually create your objectives. You will need to assign team roles every week. There'll be a facilitator, that is the leader. You need to choose a new facilitator every week. At the end of the week, the facilitator is the only team member that needs to turn in the team assignment. With the team assignment, the facilitator or leader will also turn in one of the required elements that basically shows who on the team did which part of the paper. And that is very, very important. It's also up to the team leader to report if anyone is not participating, so that your instructor can deal or help deal with that situation. So you have your team roles. How are you going to communicate? How often are you going to communicate? What app are you going to use? Where are you going to share your files? Are you going to share them in Google Docs, or OneDrive, which St. Petersburg College and many other institutes supply for you. You're going to put down your members' information so you know how to contact each other and who's who. And that's just kind of the norming and formation stage. And then there's a team storming stage. You will need to go through and identify how you're going to deal with conflict. Every team is going to have conflict. Remember, if you went through the presentation on why 31% of hiring managers will not hire someone from the Gen Z generation, this is one of the reasons why. This conflict, having good conflict resolution skills, is part of understanding how to work well together with others on a team, and to be able to collaborate without having taking offense, and being able to work together effectively. And so pay close attention to this. Another aspect is the team well-being. At the beginning of every meeting, you should give everyone 1 to 2 minutes to check in and ask them. The facilitator needs to ask them, hey, how are you doing? How are things? Is there anything going on at school and life in general that is prohibiting you from being an effective team member? How can we help you deal with that? Teams support each other. They have each other's back, and it's super important to go to take the first part of the meeting and ask how everyone's doing, so that you know if something is happening in life, you can make arrangements for the rest of the team to support that person and maybe adjust due date, or the time when people send stuff in, or the way that they might communicate, or sometimes you might even need to swap questions. When we get to the performing part of the team charter, you're going to see that each team member will be assigned a part of the assignment. Well, maybe one person has a very good set of skills for a particular question, and another person isn't very comfortable with that question. You might want to make sure to switch up so that the team leader is assigning each team member to a question or a part of the paper that they feel like they can optimize. That's part of good team management. And so when we talk about that team norming and storming stage, and talking more about that norming stage, we have some operational guidelines. In the operational guidelines, this is your code of conduct. How often will the meetings occur? When will they occur? How long will they be? You can read through these 11 lines. You don't have to have all 11, customize them according to how your team wants to do things. And then on your team performing stage, these are the different projects. You can copy and paste one or two more, because there are a few team projects. I don't think there's more than 4. But this is where you would choose who's going to lead each week. What's the completion date? When do you expect people to turn in their parts of the paper, so that the leader can compile them, and then the rest of the team can edit, view them, edit them, comment on them, and create a final version for submission. Those are all things that happen on a team. And then finally, some instructions. You'll decide how you're going to close your meetings down at the end of the meeting. So that's the basic template. I'm going to switch my share over right now to the required elements file. Give me 1 second, and there we go. Required elements. Just took a minute to find the right button. All right, so you should be seeing the required elements file, and it starts out with right at the top, the team charter. Make sure, of course, put your team or your group number in there, and you should have already filled out the team contact information in the team charter. Sometimes people like to sketch it out first on the required elements piece. We need to make sure that in the performance section of the team charter that you address these items, the deadlines. In the formation stage, or each week, I'm sorry, this also actually goes in the roles. This is a different set of roles. The roles that are in the team charter sample are for who's going to be the timekeeper, who's going to be the leader in the meetings or each week. This set of roles is very specifically talking about who is going to do what part of the assignment. So if you notice the grid, you've got the team member name. So put your team members in there. Who's the leader that week, right? And then who's going to do question number 1? Who's going to do question 2, 3, 4? Who's going to combine all of the parts of the paper together? Who's going to proofread and edit the paper? And then finally, whoever is the leader will submit this assignment. All of those things this grid should be copied and pasted into your team charter, but this grid is what you're going to turn in with your assignment every week. So the leader is responsible for turning in this grid. I want to know who is responsible for what part of the paper, and if there were any dynamics that happened during the week at the team meeting or on the team project that I need to know about. That should be part of the your team leader's report. And then finally, there's an example of how to fill that out. So this one was simply, okay, hey, this is our first team exercise. It's the module 2 root cause analysis. In this case, Latoya was the leader. Latoya also did question 1, which usually includes the introduction. Leon did question number 2, and Steve did 3. If Steve wasn't able to actually get his part done, because again, they checked in, something was going on, Leon would back him up. And if Steve actually needed a little assistance, because question 3 on this assignment might have been the harder question, that Leon's agreeing to, hey, yeah, Steve, if you need some assistance, I'll work that with you. Same thing, I'm sorry, if Steve needs help. And likewise, John was Leon's backup for question 2. Hey, man, Leon, if you need some help, if you get stumped, you get writer's block, whatever, I got your back. I'll help you out. And then Lisa was backing up Latoya on question 1. And then question 4, which was a bigger question on this assignment, both John and Lisa were assigned to work on question 4 and maybe do the diagrams. Maybe one of them did the diagrams, maybe each did a different diagram and a write-up, etc. And then Steve, in this situation, combined the parts. All 5 team members reviewed, proofread, provided their notes at the team meeting on what they think should be edited. And Latoya, who was the team leader for this week, then made the final edits and submitted the project. So that is the essence of building your team charter. You should have that done and turned in by week 2. You should have the bulk of it done before your discussion question is due in week 1. I am going to do one more share, and that's out to the module 2 assignment. Notice this is the course. And the first team case study, which is a root cause analysis, uses a fictitious company called Fast Air. I have emailed and posted an acceptable paper. The paper that I've chosen for a sample would be considered a high B, low A type paper. It's got all the elements and answers to the questions in this case study. The one thing is, it's a real paper and it does use Fast Air. So each team is going to have to come up with different answers than what's in the sample. I provide that so that there's some continuity and you can get an idea of what we're looking for in the papers and what good looks like. So the first team exercise shouldn't be that difficult to complete because you've got a great example already done for it. Now, when we move further out into class and we're using heat maps and some other examples, I'll provide some examples from that aren't class specific so that you'll also know what good looks like. So in regard to the assigning the different parts of the paper, notice that the assignments are broken up into question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4, right? And then each part has to be answered. In this case, the team has to do at least 2 of the RCA tools. In the sample I sent out, I believe we did a wishbone and a 5 forces or force field analysis. We did a force field analysis and a fishbone diagram. And the sample I gave, that's what we expect every week, is to have at least 2 diagrams that we've talked about in the case studies. So when you saw the X in the grid, and I think Latoya was doing number 1, Leon 2, Steve 3, and then I think John and the final team member did question 4. That's what we're talking about. So that is up to the team. You should discuss and choose who is going to do those assignments or parts of the paper each week. And hopefully this little explanation was helpful. Take care. Again, Dr. Bushman signing off. I'll see you either online or in class.